Welcome to the Angry Nerd Podcast. My name is Arshawn Wade, aka the Angry Nerd. The Angry Nerd Podcast is taped in front of a live Facebook audience from my mom's basement. The Angry Nerd Podcast is brought to you in part by a couple of bad life choices and a few shattered dreams. The Angry Nerd Podcast is made possible by money that my wife gives me from my SSI check, a chick named Joni, and proceeds from listeners like you. And if you want to be one of the listeners that helps contribute to this show getting better and better, purchase one of our channel shirts. That's right, the Angry Nerd Podcast has t-shirts that come in black and white with the logo of the Angry Nerd Podcast plastered on front of it, and you can get yours for the very low price of $20 plus shipping and handling. So if you want one of these t-shirts, I need you to email me your size and an address, a mailing address at theangrynerdpodcast@gmail.com. So send me that email, cash at me at $theangrynerd. Okay, moving right into things. Tonight's topic is high value man, low value mentality. I had to title it something that was going to stand out because I hope that this particular show makes its rounds and finds itself in front of a certain brother. I don't know if any of you have seen the video that's gone viral, or I don't know if he has a podcast or if he just does YouTube. He has a YouTube channel, but the brother's name is it Kevin Samuels? Kevin or Keith Samuels? I'm sorry, I'm on the bogue. I'm smooth on the bogue. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, it's Kevin Samuels. And Kevin Samuels, from what I've looked at, from what I've been able to find after a perusal of Google, was that he is apparently an image consultant or a personal shopper and some other things like that. Sounds like an entrepreneur to me, because I don't know what class you take in school to become a personal shopper or a fashion consultant. I don't know what that means. So he has this video that has gone viral where he's giving a young lady an assessment. She called into the show and she wanted information on how she could acquire what he refers to as a high value man. And in the midst of their conversation, he tells her, or he asked her to give him an assessment of her physical stature. What did she rate herself on a scale of 1 to 10 in the looks department, just solely based on her face? And she said that she was a 5, but if she gets made up, she's a 6. His response was that you're an average looking woman. At best, you're an average looking woman. And to his point, I think that he was being gracious, because I actually saw the young lady and I would personally rank her below average in the looks department solely based on her face. And I think that he called good money in that respect, but he kept using a phrase that I did not particularly appreciate. And that phrase that he kept using was high value man. You're damn right I booed that, because based on his assessment of what he defines as a high value man simply means a man who earns a high income. That doesn't make you have value. Having a high income does not make you a high value man. Having a high income doesn't even make you a high value person. There are a lot of people of poor moral fiber, moral value, people who lack any type of convictions whatsoever, who have money, who have power. There are tons of examples of high earning men who are not high value men. So that was the particular bone that I had to pick with Mr. Kevin Samuels. I'm not here to say that he didn't call good money on this young lady when he said that she was average looking at best. But here's where Mr. Kevin Samuels and myself part ways, is that the majority of men are average. The majority. What he's referring to as a high value man is the minority, the 1%. Let's stretch it a bit further and say the 10%, the top 10% of men. The other 90% is compiled of average guys. Guys of average means, guys of average looks, average appearance, average income, average earners. That's the majority. So when he's telling this young lady that she's average looking at best, now, for me, someone who has been around the block when it comes to the female persuasion, I'm going to rank this lady lower than a 5. I would give her a 4 on her best day. That's where I'm in the looks department. That's where I'm basing it off of. What I do not know is what kind of character this young lady has. I don't know what kind of moral fiber she possesses. I don't know if she has the wherewithal to be with a man who works 9 to 5, makes a modest income, and she is still willing to be a writer. She's still willing to be a helpmeet, if I'm allowed to be biblical in the in this rant. But he was telling her that she didn't qualify. She didn't meet the qualifications that it takes to attract what he referred to as a high value man. For the sanctity of this show, I'm going to refer to the man that he was talking about as a high earning man. Because I think that there are people who live middle class, lower, upper middle class, who are valuable people, who are valuable men, because they make a valuable contribution to their family on the moral, emotional, mental, and spiritual side of the game. So these men who I guess Kevin Samuels is writing off are more valuable than someone who earns a high income. Why do you say that, Arshawn? Why do you think that these men are more valuable than men who earn a lot of money? I'll tell you why. Because these men are responsible for fostering the next generation of human beings that are going to go out into the world. So if I'm going to look at my dad, and because he only makes 60 grand a year, I'm going to look at him as a low value man. Guess what I'm going to do as a child? I'm going to reason as a child. My dad's not good enough. And that's simply not true. I say that because my dad worked for the city of Los Angeles, and he wasn't a 6-figure guy. But I think that he was a great man, and he had great value to the institution of humanity. So for someone like Kevin Samuels, a man who doesn't even really have a proven track record of success, I couldn't find anything on the guy because he appears to be a GQ type brother. He appears to be someone who comes from a high income. He has a nice suit, appears to be tailored. The ambiance in his videos appear to be upscale. And I am intentionally using the word appear because all I've been able to find have been videos on YouTube. I haven't found any business. I haven't seen where he's put in any work anywhere. I was even petty enough to go on Indeed and check the guy's Indeed out. So the unspoken for me was, what gives this guy the authority on what a high value man is. So he used some other language that I think that people are familiar with this language colloquially, but I don't know if we 100% have a clear definition of the phrase alpha male. But I've seen him use the phrase alpha male. So it got me on a hunt, aka Google search. And according to theguardian.com, an alpha male is defined as a man who takes charge, one who imposes his will on others, not the other way around. Other men want to be him, women want to be with him. An alpha male intimidates, he's unquestionably in charge, no matter the situation. Maybe I'm a beta. But reading that definition, it made my skin crawl just a little bit. This does not seem like a nice person. This doesn't seem like a high value person. So I went and checked on greatergood.berkeley.edu to see how they define an alpha male. What defines an alpha male? As the story typically goes, there are two types of men. Alpha males are those at the top of the social status hierarchy. They have greater access to power, money, and mates, which they gain through physical prowess, intimidation, and domination. So I pretty much stopped there. I have one site that is pretty credible, so I wanted to check another site that was very credible in the form of a peer-reviewed essay here at berkeley.edu. This is peer-reviewed information, so now we're talking about pundits in the field agreeing to a definition. So the professionals say that this is an adequate definition. Alpha males are those at the top of the social status hierarchy. They have greater access to power, money, and mates, which they gain through physical prowess, intimidation, and domination. This doesn't sound like a good guy. It doesn't sound like a good guy. I don't think that this is the definition that most of us are working with in our minds when we think of an alpha male. This sounds like a douchebag. Yeah. This guy sounds like a douchebag. He doesn't sound like someone who you want to have at the family barbecue. He sounds like the a-hole that everyone tries to get away from. And I don't think that people who try to get away from the type of male that I just defined, I don't think that they're betas. I just think they're normal people who don't want to be around this guy with a, what do you call that complex when you think the world of yourself? Narcissism. That's what it is, this narcissistic complex. I just think people don't want to be around that kind of person. And if this is the kind of guy that Kevin Samuels is lauding, as if this is something that you are supposed to aspire to, oh, well, brother, I think that you may think that you're a high value man, but you have a very low value mentality. Because what that says is a high value man covets and worships money. And a woman looking for a high earning man is setting herself out to play the harlot, because she is trading her vagina, among other things, beauty, because it sounds like only exceptionally beautiful women can acquire high earning men, which I don't think that's true either. But according to Mr. Samuels, that's the only way that these young ladies are going to get high earning men. So what that reaffirms is the insanity that I see going on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter. Hey, You don't have to have any skills. You don't have to have morals or values. You don't have to be intelligent enough to carry on a conversation. You just have to have an ass that I like, titties that I like, a face that I like. And I got this paper over here. We're a match made in heaven. According to the psychology as laid out by Mr. Kevin Samuels. I have a serious problem with the fact that he is telling these young ladies that because you're not super beautiful, that you're not going to get a high earning man. And while that may be arguably true, I don't 100% agree with that, but that may be arguably true for someone like him. But for me, someone who lives below the 10% of men in our society, I think that it's a lot more complex than someone like Kevin Samuels cares to illustrate for the people. A lot of these institutions like fitness, like religion, like dieting, a lot of them are horrible people. And if they told you the truth, you wouldn't spend that money on their products. You wouldn't give all your money over to the church if they told you the truth. You wouldn't give all that money to the fitness man because if he told you the truth. You wouldn't give all that money over to these foolish diets if they told you the truth. That you have to get with self. And you have to sit with self and identify who you are, what you think, and what you believe. I'll tell you why that is. So many people won't do that because it's scary. Because when you come out and you start looking outside of self, you realize that based on the definitions laid out by this country, I have no idea who I am. You can only find yourself if you go to self. What the hell does that mean in relation to tonight's topic, Arshawn? You're bunny trailing. I know. Full circle. Here's the truth that Kevin Samuels won't tell these ladies. There are millions of men who don't reside in the top 10% who are great men. The way that I define a high earning man and his desire in a mate, you don't meet that criteria. But it's not the end of the world, good sister. Let me let you in on a little secret. There are 90% of men, which is a much larger pool. There are some great guys down there who don't make six figures, but they can give you a comfortable life if you're looking for the textbook, leave it to beaver kind of way of living, the old school way of doing things. There are some guys who can provide a living for you. You're in the high class, in the high earning income, you're a 5, baby girl. But in the blue collar range, you're a blue collar 8. You're a blue collar 8. Oh no, you're not a dime piece. There are some girls that in the town, we look at them as dime pieces. They go to Hollywood, they're a solid 5. On their best day, they're a solid 5. But if you recognize and you're honest with self about self, you don't have this grandiose idea of self, this grandiose view of self, based on the media, of course, based on social media, of course, because you got all those likes, you got all those followers. Newsflash, baby. For those of you who have that grandiose view of self and then you get slapped in the face with reality and realize exactly where you stand in the beauty department, the majority of those likes and those followers are average guys. Let me say that again. The majority, 99.9% of the guys who are putting likes and the guys who are following you are average. And to average guys, you're a dime piece. And to the high earning men who have college graduates, professional 6-figure earning women with no children, there are tons of things against you when you go after that guy, when you're reaching for the brass ring and your arms just aren't quite long enough. But here's the kicker. You overlook who the Most High may have picked out for you as the best mate for you. You will overlook him for what you think is better. And Kevin Samuels won't tell women that. They won't tell women, hey, sweetheart, I'm not telling you to give up on your dreams, but what I'm telling you is what you are shooting for isn't impossible, but it is highly improbable. And that's the difference in what I'm saying here versus what Kevin Samuels says, the guy who presents the image of a bunny ears, high value man. People of high value, they don't doo-doo on people. People who have high value, people who are actually good people, they don't squat on people. They find an elegant and intelligent way of informing a person that, hey, the deck is stacked against you in this endeavor. I'm not telling you not to go after, not to shoot for the moon, and if you fall short, you'll still be among the stars. I'm not telling you that. But what I'm saying is, you might be missing your blessing because you haven't gone and gotten with self and gotten honest with self, done some real self-work. Most of us know more about people on TV than we do about ourselves. Let me say that again. Most of us know more about people on TV than we know about ourselves. And I wish that Kevin Samuels would share this information with ladies. And I wish that he would speak to people in a way that didn't sound like you're talking down to people. What's the fancy way of saying talking down to people? Condescending. If you would take a little bit of the condescending nature out of your tone, then people could probably receive some of the information that the brother is saying. Now, I will say this. He hit the nail on the head in a lot of ways when it comes to women, particularly black women in the dating ring, because a lot of our sisters have a unrealistic view of the world. They just have an unrealistic view of life in the United States of America. And partly, I hold social media and major media responsible for this, because Walt Disney has shown them that you can be a princess and you can get swooped off of your feet by Prince Charming. There is so much trauma in the black community, so much mental illness in the black community, and a lot of people aren't going to get help. A lot of people aren't seeking out help. Just living with the dysfunction, coping with the dysfunction. And I said that to say this. So here you are, sister, with your college debt and your 2 kids that you had by some other old boy. Oftentimes there's 2 old boys that ran off on you. And you want the guy at the top of the food chain? You really think that he's going to pass up all these girls that are graduating college this year with no kids, college degrees, careers ahead of them, and he's going to pass that up for you, your body that's been blown out of whack by having someone else's kids, your college debt, and two little strangers? Oftentimes, that's the case. And that's because people are not having real conversations with themselves. Are you telling us to talk to ourselves, Arshawn? Yes, mother effer. Yes. Talk to yourself. Find 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Find some time during your week to get to yourself. No music, no TV, nothing. 10 or 15 minutes to where you can reflect, where you can evaluate where you are, where you want to go, where you want to be, where you see yourself in the next 5 years, 10 years, so on and so forth. All these things that our third grade counselors used to tell us. Let's find some quiet time to get with self. And let's find some goals. What do they tell you in school when they talk about setting goals? Make them realistic. Make them measurable. Make them attainable. I want a high earning man. That's just wrong. To me, that's wrong to seek out. I will tell you why I believe that's wrong to seek out. I believe that's wrong to seek out because that's the trick and hoe relationship, the hoe and John relationship. I have a vagina and I have titties and I have booty and I'm going to give it to you for your money. Give me your money and I'll give you my vagina, my titties, and my booty. Is that not the basis of prostitution? How about I need a man who is moral, a man who is righteous in his ways, in his dealings with people, who's kind, but above busting somebody's head if it comes time to protect this family. What about these qualities? Because I got a vision that if it goes bad, like it can go bad in life, Kevin Samuels is not going to throw hands. He just doesn't strike me as the kind of brother who's going to throw down if something goes bad. Hey, you might be a high value man and you think that you go to high value men restaurants and you go to high value places and that can't happen to you. Let me tell you something, good brother. Drama can happen anywhere. Are you equipped to handle drama if it's brought to you and your lady? High value man. See, because let me tell you something, ladies. It's nothing like being in a situation where life has brought you in the vicinity of drama and you're with a man who conducts himself in the fashion of a young lady when the drama comes down. And instead of you and your man, alpha male, you and your high value man are both cowering under a table somewhere because you didn't check the resume. You didn't check the pedigree and find out exactly what kind of moral fiber this person possesses. Find out what they're made of, who they are. Do they know who they are? So I have serious issue with Kevin Samuels' definition of a high value man. Because for purely journalistic reasons, I had to watch his show. I had to listen. I can't just come on here talking out the side of my neck. I had to listen to it. Excuse me. I had to listen to it so I could understand what he viewed as a high value man. And do you want to know what his criteria for a high value man sounded like to me? It sounded like the reverse of a gold digger conversation. He frequently asks ladies, when was the last time you were on a date that required reservations? So wait a minute. If a guy can't afford to go to a restaurant that requires reservations, he's not a high value man? When was the last time you went to a restaurant that that required reservations? Wow. Call me old-fashioned, but I think my question would have been a little simpler. When was the last time you were out on a date with a guy who opened your car door for you? When was the last time you were on a date with a guy who pulled your chair out for you at the restaurant? When were you out on a date with a guy and you knew, based on the way he conducted himself with you, that he had to be raised right because he is a gentleman? When was the last time you had a conversation on a date that didn't turn to how either of you get down in the bedroom? Does that not sound a little more high value to you, rather than how much did it cost to go on your last date? Because let's be honest, that's all it was. This is pocket checking. He basically, by price, that this young lady has dated. When was the last time you were out with a guy who could afford to take you to a place like this? You think dirt bags don't come with money? You think there aren't rich dirt bags? I think the higher earning a man is, the more difficult it is for that man to be moral, to be righteous. I think it's much more difficult for that guy to be a good dude, to be a good person, because he's got the money to be a douchebag. So why would he behave in a moral fashion? Why would he be a gentleman? Do you get what I'm saying? So when I hear high value, I think that me and this brother, maybe, I don't know, maybe he does have a lot of money. Maybe he is a baller. Maybe it's not just an appearance of wealth, but it appears that he puts the image of wealth and a wealthy man. He puts the mantle of high value man in that place. And that's the thing that I have a serious issue with. And the fact that you are leading these little sisters, steering these little sisters all the way wrong. Don't get me wrong, looks are important. I've never once walked past a young lady in the mall and said, hey, she looks like she has a great personality. It looks like that young lady over there is a riveting conversationalist. I can't wait to meet her and see if my assessment's correct. No, I don't know anybody in the history of life who chooses a potential suitor in that fashion. Oftentimes, it sounds a little more like this. Whew, man, Shorty is filling out those pants. Oh, wow. I like the way that shirt's moving around. Jesus, look at the seat warmer on that one. Whew, or if you're around some of your old uncles like me, boy, that's a mean toy to cut on her. Don't get me wrong. Physical beauty is important when choosing a potential mate. But physical beauty does not make a person high value. Most of us, regular people, blue collar people, can agree that exceptionally beautiful people oftentimes don't have the greatest spirit. They don't have the greatest inside stuff. And they aren't usually that bright. Just want to put that out there. It seems like the most well-rounded and down-to-earth, awesome type people reside in the 90%. Why would you want to be up there with those people in their restaurants and in their balls and amidst their corruption, their debaucherous ways that we've heard so much about down here in the trenches? But all jokes aside, I honestly think that Kevin Samuels believes that he is right. And I will have to grossly disagree. I think that it's hurtful to see someone of that age. He says he's 50 plus. I think it's horrible someone of that age views the world the way that I did in regard to relationships, the way that I did at 19, 18, 17. That's spooky. It's scary and it's not right. And I think that he should check himself before he gets back on there acting all hoity-toity and whatnot. I think that, brother, you need to get your Indeed situation updated if it's not updated, because it doesn't look like you're a successful business owner. It doesn't look like that to me. It appears that the good brother is putting on an image for other people to admire. Those of my ilk, we call that a smacker. Somebody putting on a good image for other people to admire. That's a smacker. You know, he's just talking that yin yang as if he's a successful brother. And I don't see any fruit from the tree that you claim to have planted as a businessman, as a fashion consultant, and a personal shopper. I'm not entirely sure what a personal shopper is. I think I was my mom's personal shopper when she used to smoke cigarettes back in the day, when I had to go to the corner store with a note and buy her a pack of Newport 100s. Yeah, I think that's my idea of a personal shopper anyway. I hope that's not the case. I hope that it's something more prestigious than that. That's my thought. But high value man, low value mentality. That's how we got here, because Kevin Samuels wants people to believe that a high value man is someone who makes a lot of money. And I don't agree with that. I think that a high value man is someone who makes a contribution to the institution of humanity, a positive contribution. I think that has a lot more to do with your value than how much money you earn. And I'm not saying that because I'm not a six-figure guy. I'm not saying that. I think that when I eventually get to become a six-figure company and I have big money, I'm going to feel the same exact way. And of course, there are the naysayers who say, you say that now because you don't have six figures. Once you get that money, why do you think that I'm telling you the secret? The secret is getting to self, learning self, figuring out who self is, what self is about, what self stands for, what self will not stand for. I'm telling you that because the Most High has already had me do that work and has me do that work because it's a continual process. As things crop up in your life, you have to go back and reevaluate where you are, what you like, because what I liked at 18, I didn't like at 25. What I liked at 25, I didn't like at 30. What I liked at 30, I didn't like at 35. And I tell you, it's a metamorphosis. As a human being, the institution of humanity is about metamorphosis. It's about change. It's about adjusting to where you are. Anybody who's ever been in sports or any type of athletics knows that. You can't run as many miles at 35 as you could at 18. I could eat a handful of Red Hots and a pack of noodles and play 18 games of basketball, run 6 miles. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do that today. I mean, I can still run my miles and I can still play basketball, but if I don't eat properly and if I don't get the right supplements, I'm not going to make it. Simple and plain. And this is someone who's still an athlete, sharing that truth. So I say all that to say, getting to self is the root of getting a suitable mate, whether they be high earners or not. Who God has for you may not be a high earner. Who are you? That's the only way that you can get to what you really want. A high value man with a low value mentality is not very valuable. Oh, he may buy you a lot of nice things and he may introduce you to a lot of nice places. You may get some life experience out of that situation, but let me tell you something. Rarely have I seen any of those guys have lasting relationships. That's a very rare thing at that level. A lot of those high value men have low value mentalities and a lot of ex-wives because they're not men of substance, spiritual, mental, and emotional substance. They're men of means. They have money and resources, power. Not often do they have personality. Not often do they have the best emotional barometer. Oftentimes, their spirit is illiterate. Most of the time, in fact. So, until you get to self, you won't know who you are to know what kind of man you want, ladies. Until you get with self and do the work that is required, get with a counselor, get with a life coach, get with a minister or any person of influence who can guide you on this journey as you dive inside self and find out who you are. After you get done doing that work, you may find that you don't want the bunny ears, high value man. You may want a highly valuable man, which is someone who possesses gifts and talents that money can't buy. Someone who possesses a personality and a spirit that you can't purchase. Someone who possesses that thing that God put inside of you and put inside of him that connects and makes everything in this wicked world okay. See, I think of people and their value vastly different at the ripe middle age of 35 than I did at 18. It was all about looks at 18, isn't it always? Because I'm a rebel without a cause. I'm 18 years old and I'm gonna F stuff up. And then at 35, and you've dealt with a couple of relationships, you've learned by 35 that the quality of the person on the inside is far more important than what they look like. Some of the greatest people that I've met in the history of my life didn't have beauty in the conventional sense. but the beauty that they possessed on the inside shone outward. And when I saw these unconventionally featured people with exceptionally handsome people, with exceptionally beautiful people on the outside, it didn't strike me as odd, because some of the greatest people aren't very handsome, but their spirit is so beautiful and it's so great that you thank God that you aren't so judgmental based on what someone looks like. Otherwise, you would have missed the opportunity to meet this beautiful spirit. Hey, I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I'm not the smartest dude in the world. I say that all the time, although I do have my moments. But I wanted to bring that information tonight because I could see a young brother watching Kevin Samuels' video and feeling discouraged, thinking that he has no self-worth because he don't have that paper. He doesn't have the bag, or the bag that someone else thinks that he should have. We set the stage for depression. We set the stage for suicide. We set the stage for low self-esteem, because we tell people their worth and value is directly attached to what they have in the bank. And that's just simply not true. Hey, my name is Arshawn Wade, aka The Angry Nerd. Peace.